Welcome to TOOP TV's newest segment, Fireside Chat. The original Fireside Chat was a regular radio show used by presidents to inform the public of the latest issues. It originated in 1933 and ran until 1944. But now the Fireside Chat is back and we're using it to tell you about the latest real estate issues. It's uninterrupted interviews with the experts in the know. So sit back, relax and enjoy Fireside Chat.
Well, welcome to Fireside Chat. We have a very special guest today. As most of us in the real estate profession hang our hat on the mining and the defence industries. So we thought the best way to find out how our future is looking is look at one of those two pillars of the property section, and that is the defence industry. Now there's a great deal of discussion, some of it true, some of it false. We're going to cut through all of that. Go to the top, the CEO of the Defence SA, Andrew Fletcher. Welcome, Andrew.
Thanks, Anthony.
Now, Andrew, just for the viewers, let's just get a bit of background on Andrew Fletcher.
Well, I'm a bit of a misnomer when it comes to defence. I'm actually out of the engineering construction world, but 5 years ago I was asked by the Premier and the then head of the Economic Development Board to have a look at looking after defence in the state.
I know that it's become a very big part, well it is a very big part of the real estate and property future in South Australia. I listened to your Property Council presentation, which was awesome, back a few months ago, and I really would like to recap on some of those facts and figures. Sure. And what I found most interesting, just to get the show underway, would be to explain how we sit in defence, how big is this industry, and why is it such an enormous thing for what you've really achieved?
Well, the size of the industry is critical, and it was one of the reasons that the Economic Development Board recommended the government we focus on defence going forward. All up, defence spends about $30 billion a year, of which, if we pare it down, about 10 to 12 million is in procurement, and clearly a lot of that procurement is offshore procurement with weapons and missiles and systems, radar systems, etc. But the spend in Australia currently is about 4.6 billion a year, and that'll rise to about 5.6 billion over the next 3 to 4 years. And we in South Australia so far are achieving or securing through the companies that work here about 25% of that spend, and we anticipate we can do that or better for the next 30 years. So it's a contributor of some 1.25 billion to the gross state product.
Which is a very significant amount of money, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Now, so it's 100 billion, these are my notes from back a couple of months ago, 100 billion over the next 10 years on defence, and what you're saying is about 25% of that is our market share here in South Australia?
No, 100 billion is the procurement spend over the next 10 years.
Right, okay.
And of that, the indigenous, i.e. that money spent in Australia, is about 4.6 billion, rising to 5.6 billion a year.
Right.
And we get 25% plus of that.
Right, so very big numbers.
They are large numbers.
Okay. Now, how did this all come about? Because it obviously was a government initiative, because my understanding is South Australia gets a disproportionate share of the action because of the work that you guys have been doing.
Well, and people before me. I mean, our current governor, Kevin Scarce, had a major role to play in it. We're an 8% state by population, so achieving 25% spend is a good effort by any measure. There's only one state that rivals us, and that's Queensland at the moment. They get about the same amount. Now,
in terms of the longevity of that spend, the other impressive statistic was that this isn't just something for a year or two, is it?
No, there's good reason for us as a state to pursue defence. One is the spend continues for quite some time to come. The naval program alone translates in procurement and through life support to $250 billion over the next 30 years. Now, by any measure, that's a nation building program. So we'd be crazy not to focus on it from just that perspective, but of course it's much broader than that. The other thing is that unlike industries that have served us well in the past, and I refer to textiles, white goods, motor vehicles, textiles and white goods have moved offshore, and motor vehicles are under pressure.
Yes, yeah, but iffy.
And so defence, particularly the IP, intellectual property that a nation wants to hold close, will stay here. And the programs are of such longevity, they won't walk offshore in a hurry.
Is it possible that this could grow by being seeded? Like, is it possible that we could pick up contracts and sell back to the US or back to Europe?
It's possible, but there's two or three things that limit international sales. One is there's a very small team of people that work together in that area, and I talk, of course, the close allies of Australia, US, UK, Canada, New Zealand. So the market in itself is limited. And secondly, the US, which is by far the world's largest market, has some fairly draconian protectionism rules that really make them use US first. Having said that, there's great opportunity now through the free trade agreement for particularly our small to medium enterprises to get pieces of the action in the US, UK, etc.
So in a more tangible and very specific way, what is that money presenting itself in for the people that live here in Adelaide? So what is the product? Is it, software? Is it, the shipbuilding? And then specifically what people are here that wouldn't otherwise be here? What style of person?
Yeah, two or three things have happened. Iconic projects like the Air Warfare Destroyer program attract people from all over the world, much less people from interstate. So the Air Warfare Destroyer program will see 3,000 odd people working at Osborne at Techport in the near future, and that will last for an 8-year period. We are hopeful that we'll continue on with the future submarines. There's a replacement frigate fleet which is quite substantial, and there's 20 offshore patrol boats. So there's a series of programs that we expect that once we've got the critical mass of expertise, the skills base, that will continue to grow and thrive and change, yes, but it will exist for a long time to come. The other area is that we're finding that international companies are being attracted here, and so far I won't name them, but they're well known in the defence industry. Companies have come from both the UK and the US and established in South Australia, Techport, Mawson Lakes and Edinburgh, which are the 3 defence precincts.
So if you added the people up that are employed in that, is that the 3,000?
No, that's just the 3,000 that will be working on the Air Warfare Destroyer program.
So what numbers obviously it'd be very difficult to be precise, but what sort of numbers are we talking when you add in these people that hang off the back?
Well, it's actually one of my state strategic plan targets, so I can say to you in
very
all honesty, I know exactly what they have to be and where they are at the moment. At the moment, we've got about 24,500 direct and indirect defence jobs in this state.
24,500?
Yes, and our target for 2013 is 28,000. Bold statement, I know, things can change, but I'm very confident we'll reach that figure.
That's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a significant contributor to the community.
And as we said earlier, the thing that really is a standout in that is that these are long-term jobs?
Yeah, majority are long-term jobs. And if we talk about, for example, the stand-up of the 7th Royal Australian Regiment that's occurring as from next month.
Right, we want to be I need to know exactly when they're coming because
okay.
I'm interested. Yeah, so we'll get into.
We'll get into the timing in a minute.
Yeah.